So, in summary, that's why I don't really like cats or dogs, but instead like to share my home with roughly 15 possums. Oh god, it's happening again, isn't it? Bro, no one played that, though. Like, yeah, but who's gonna watch a video about that? Well, do I at least have an option to say no? Oh, I mean, okay then. So you may not have known this, but there was actually an Alien vs Predator game in 2010 that was released to critical acclaim and an incredible fan reception. Except that didn't happen and the game was critically panned by every game journalist under the sun, with one exceptionally nice review calling Aliens vs Predator the year's most disappointing title thus far. Which turned out to be a little bit harsh given the fact that this was the same year DJ Hero 2 and Kick-Ass the video game came out. In honesty though, I do kind of understand why this game somersaulted off the radar, as 2010 saw the release of, right, bear with me, Red Dead Redemption, Call of Duty Black Ops, Bioshock 2, Limbo, Heavy Rain, Bad Company 2, StarCraft 2, Metro 2033, Halo Reach, Just Cause 2, Dead Rising 2, Mafia 2, Mass Effect 2, Skate 3, Fable 3, Fallout New Vegas, Super Meat Boy, The Force Unleashed 2, God of War 3, Star Trek Online, and saving the best for last, Ben 10 Ultimate Alien Cosmic Destruction. Safe to say, 2010 had a lot of twos and was a very good year for gaming. I actually didn't realise that 2010 had that many staples that would be remembered for years to come, but here we are. Either way, that didn't exactly bode well for a game that looks like a movie tie-in, was slammed by critics on release, and was nearly banned in Australia, and came out 3 years after arguably the worst Alien vs Predator movie. The bittersweet truth to all of this, though, is that Alien vs Predator is a frankly amazing game, with 3 really fun campaigns and some of the best power fantasy gameplay to date, with an actually half-interesting story. Good luck following it, but more on that later. Now, as I have mentioned, this is a weird point for the Alien franchise. Alien Resurrection had put the final nail in the Alien franchise coffin, AVP Requiem was a fairly new release that put the nail in that franchise, and the film Predators came out that year to a less than warm reception. Now, it's safe to say that in the court of public opinion, both Alien and Predator were ever so slightly guilty of 2 counts of irrelevance and 3 counts of disappointing fans who just wanted a decent piece of media. Now, cue the release of 2010's Alien vs Predator. It's pretty understanding that a lot of people avoided this game like the plague, lest ye be utterly disappointed by yet another cuck from Warner Brothers, let alone Sega and their impeccable track record. Time heals all wounds though, and over the last 5 years or so, people have been going back and enjoying games that fell under the radar of commercial success, bringing new light to these dusty pieces of intellectual property. Wait, they released a game based on the retro-futuristic design of the original Alien movie? That only has one alien? Well, kind of anyway. That also has a AAA budget, and it's a survival horror instead of a mindless shooter? Oh, I guess I'll just go play that then. Said you and countless others. And then that game went on to kill an entire genre of video games, but that's a topic for another video. So after years passed and Alien vs Predator had the chance to have some sort of popularity renaissance, Alien Isolation gave it the old 12-gauge shotgun treatment as it sat happily in its barrel full of water, safely stealing the spotlight for itself with its volumetric lighting and incredible AI and engaging story and generally being a genre-defining masterpiece that also happens to be one of the best games I've ever played or whatever. So I stand here before you, a broken man with a tale as old as time. Alien vs Predator from 2010 slaps, and now I'm going to tell you why. Now, as a member of the human race, who, let's not beat around the bush here, is probably male, I'm sure you've heard of the words game and play put together before. But how does the gameplay of AVP stack up to my insatiable lust for violence and domination? In a word, well. In more than a word, the gameplay of AVP is split across 3 campaigns similar to the previous games that you're probably too young to remember. As the Marine, you do Marine things, like shoot guns and make homoerotic grunting sounds at every opportunity. Thankfully, the Marine campaign is varied and atmospheric enough to keep the player more than engaged for the duration of its 8 or so hour runtime, because I have a smart gun and now I'm using that smart gun to be cool and stuff, isn't this great? All my friends are dead. The motion tracker also completely decimates any sort of comfort you may have while moving through the earlier levels, as that gun-ho marine atmosphere melts away pretty quickly when you're on your own and the tracker tells you that something you can't see is sneaking up to you. Now, as for the Alien and Predator campaigns, this is where the fun really begins. As the Alien, you sneak around the darkness, clinging to walls and ceilings, waiting for the perfect moment to stealth kill people and robots with a horrifically deranged smirk on your face as you pick off the last scared guy by launching yourself at him at Mach 3 from the rafters. You move quick, jump far, and are nearly invisible in the darkness. But you don't exactly react well to bullets, leading to some genuinely engaging moment-to-moment gameplay, with periods of methodical planning and patience as you wait for everyone to calm down again after the previous attack, so you can launch yourself at another dude committing yet another war crime. Now, the Predator campaign is similar in concept, but the execution is some of the best I've ever seen. After completing the game, I checked out some gameplay of the fairly new release Predator Hunting Grounds, and had the overwhelming thought of why bother, as the bland and janky gameplay looked about as fun and engaging as a medieval rack with an invisibility cloak. They got it right 12 years ago. How did they fumble it in 2021? Of course that's a joke. In this lovely day and age of gaming, if it can be fumbled, it will be fumbled. Murphy's Fumble, if you will. The gameplay of the Predator in this game is by no means smooth and definitely smells of 2010 bullshit. But it culminates in this beautiful whirlwind of invisibility, executions, and jumping around like a 5-year-old with a Red Bull IV drip. From the legitimately challenging but fun stealth takedown gameplay, to the all-out one-man army you become when fighting hordes of aliens, the Predator campaign is fun all the way through. Except for the tutorial, actually, that thing's slower than me with my 4 underdeveloped brain cells. This brings me naturally to the... So much like any piece of media with 3 separate stories taking place in the same overarching plot with said stories intertwining, things get very complicated very fast. So basically there's this pyramid, and Robot Yutani himself takes interest because predators are cool, I guess, but then when he touches the tomb there's a massive EMP blast, and that does its thing. It also releases a bunch of aliens from a secret lab that happens to be nearby. This blast calls in the Predators, who blow up the USS Marlow, leaving some approaching Marines on a dropship no choice but to carry out the mission alone. Also, one of the aliens released by the EMP blast happens to be the alien you play as in the Alien campaign, and one of the Predators that gets dropped in to stop the humans is the Predator you play as. I think you get where I'm going with this. Basically, the player character Rookie gets bonked on the head and wakes up in a dingy part of the colony after you get separated from your squad, and makes his way to the alien queen through the aftermath of the Predator character's carnage. There are aliens everywhere because the alien character released the queen from the lab and she went and made a nest in the colony. The human character kills the queen and learns about a pyramid or something. Alien character is sad the queen's dead. Predator character just kind of carries on with his human hunting vibe, blah blah blah. Friend gets face hugged. Predator finds some ancient secrets and destroys the pyramid. Marine guy grabs the Yutani tablet to get off world. Alien gets captured by Wayland Yutani, kills them and becomes the new queen. Everyone lives happily ever after, except they don't because they're all on a mission to go to the alien homeworld because that was the secret in the pyramid that everyone was looking for and managed to get before it blew up. Now, I get it, okay? I'm making the story sound boring and weird, but when you're playing it, it actually makes a lot of sense. It has some genuinely engaging moments and holds your attention until the end of each respected campaign. The way each story overlaps is fascinatingly done, with nothing being too direct and subtle enough where it intrigues the player as you see how each character played their part in destroying the base. Each campaign shares areas, but each character takes a different route, and is often going in different directions, adding depth to the world instead of it just feeling like an asset flip. And the ending of each story is satisfying enough for me to get legitimately upset that the sequel bit at the end of each campaign didn't actually come to fruition. The twists and motives of each character makes you actually engage with the story and the world, and the fact I felt something at some of these moments made my heart grow 3 sizes, though my doctor does say that that's often a sign of heart disease. Let's be honest though, you won't play this game for the story, and neither did I. As nice as the story is, it will only ever be a bonus to the gripping feeling of crawling through vents only to pounce on a scared man in a darkened room mourning over his dead friends. I think I have some rather profound issues that I should speak to someone about. Anyway, now that I've talked about the incredible single-player campaign of this underrated masterpiece, I should probably talk about the overwhelming negative on most critics' reviews. Now, if you read most of the reviews at the time, you'd more than likely be under the impression that the multiplayer is a boring, uninspired mess of game modes that would sooner invoke feelings of primal rage than actual human enjoyment. And they'd be right. Well, now anyway they would, because the game's all but dead in the water, with the most populated server I've seen in the last 2 years having a whopping 6 people in it. During its popularity though, the multiplayer was actually great. Humans, predators, and aliens battling it out in species team deathmatch, mixed TDM, or regular deathmatch. Okay, maybe the variety wasn't exactly there, but if you want to assemble a ragtag team of a predator, 2 humans, and an alien against the world, then nothing can stop you. If you want to incite a race, species war, you go right ahead. If you hate everyone and would rather be a lone wolf getting dominated by a sweaty 32-year-old man who grew up on the older games, found AVP and didn't let go for 4 years, making him an AVP gigabrain, the world is yours to keep. Although this was actually a really fun experience, leading to incredibly chaotic moments where you kill 3 aliens and get executed by a predator that had been stalking you for the last 5 minutes, the fun for me at least was making up game modes with my friends, like the sad little man I am, along with the more unique game modes. One particular enjoyment was Predator Hunt. In this mode, one predator battles it out with a bunch of humans, and when someone eventually kills the predator, they become the predator. You'd expect the predator to win every time, but with the game's surprising amount of balancing, you could only really win as the predator if you were either very lucky or very skilled. Needless to say, I never won as the predator because I am neither lucky nor skilled, but the fun of it was something I'll hold with me for a very long time. They also put an infection-style game mode in this game, where one player starts as an alien and the rest as Marines, leading to absolute insanity as people get picked off one by one until there are 2 people fighting off hordes of aliens, until of course you both get absolutely dominated by someone with actual skill. Again, probably not me. The best map I found for this though was the Pyramid map, with its tight corridors and multitude of vents, leading to an atmospherically terrifying experience when all your friends try hard the game and play like they're in a movie. This game turns from an action to a horror real quick depending on what game mode you're playing. We also had a rule where human players would turn their brightness down to make it that much more clench-worthy. To top it all off, there's a wave-based survival mode where you and your friends play as Marines and fight against aliens until you die, which you knew immediately when I said wave-based survival mode, but over-explanation is good for runtime. It would have been nice if there was an option to play as predators for the survival mode, but maybe Rebellion is just allergic to too much of a good thing, because the idea of fighting aliens with your friends in a Doom-style predator battle sounds absolutely incredible. Hell, maybe if this game does have a proper resurgence, modders will make it a reality. With all this being said, what actually did go wrong with this game? Why did critics hate it so much if it's not only worth playing but a genuinely fun and engaging game? If I'm being honest, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is the fact that 2010 was a really good year for video games. So many titles that year reached near perfection, and critics were spoiled for choice. So when Alien vs Predator saunters in as a pre-existing IP, after the series had already been soiled by some admittedly bad films, of course they're going to give it a bad rating when comparing it to Bad Company 2 or Red Dead Redemption. At the end of the day, the game isn't perfect. It's far from it. It's drenched in 2010 jank, and you have to actually pay attention to follow the story. And the 2 campaigns with the best gameplay are by far the shortest. On top of that, the most popular game modes for the multiplayer are the most generic. This game though, with all of its jank and all of its generic 2010 aspects, is amazing. The graphics hold up, the story is interesting, and my god, the gameplay is so fun. If you've never played this game, buy it right now and play it. I don't care if that assignment is due tomorrow, I don't care if you're at a UN conference and have the launch codes handcuffed to your hand, I especially don't care if you're on your way to your ex's house with a 9mm. Play this game if it's the last thing you do. And if enough people listen, maybe I can jump on Alien Infection on Pyramid one last time. Thank you for watching, goodbye.